Hey everyone, my name is Ben Chaish, and today we are checking out what it looks like to adapt Leica M mount lenses onto various different platforms. I know I've done multiple videos about this topic, but wanted to show a lot more real world examples. And selfishly, specifically for me, I have been using the Canon R6 as my main video camera for a long time now, but have been, let's say, partially obsessed with the Sony FX3, which is what I'm currently filming with. Just has a lot of features that I'm really interested in. And I also had the Leica SL2-S in last week for my video on adapting lenses. So this video is sort of a follow-up in a way. And since I have such a large collection of Leica M mount glass and I'm usually testing it for other things, I always figured it would be really useful for me to know kind of what the best setup would be for those. So today we are going to test out the SL2-S, the R6, and the FX3 with their most flat profiles. So I believe that is S-Log3 for the FX3, just regular L-Log for the SL2-S, and then I believe it is C-Log3 for the Canon R6 as well. And we're gonna see just how well those lenses pair and interact with each camera body. So today we're going to be using the Zeiss 15 2.8, the Zeiss 21 2.8, the Zeiss 25 2.8, the Voigtlander 35 Ultron f2, and the Leica 50mm f1.4 Summilux spherical. I also just did a morning of filming with the FX3 on the TT Artisan 50 0.95. So if you're interested in seeing that video, you can definitely leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already so you can see that video when it comes out. But I've labeled each camera kind of like an A, B, and C, as well as listing which lens is being used at the moment. So as you go, sort of take some mental notes, and then as the scene or the sequence sort of ends, let me know your thoughts on which camera was which and which one you preferred.
Stuck in between who I am and who you thought I'd be. Young and naive to think that you would take a chance on me. Would it be so easy to just walk away? Now I see you leaving, am I the one to blame? I always thought you'd be better with somebody else, somebody who'd love you through sickness and health, somebody to have and to hold you well. But for now,
I'm stuck in between who I am and who you thought I'd be. Be honest, please. Have you ever felt so incomplete?
would it be so easy to just walk away? Now I see you leaving, am I the one to blame? I always thought you'd be better with somebody else, somebody who loved you through sickness and health, somebody to have and to hold you well, hold you well. I always thought you'd be better with somebody else, somebody to love you through sickness and health, somebody to have and to hold you well, hold you well. Why, oh why, tell me, where did you go?
Why, tell me, why did you?
Why, oh why, tell me, why did you go? You did a number on me. Why, oh why, tell me, why did you go? You did a number on me. Why, oh why, tell me, why did you go? I always thought you'd be better with somebody else, somebody who loved you through sickness and health, somebody to have and to hold you well,
So what'd you think? And put A, B, and C, and then which camera you think was what, as well as which camera you preferred the most out of the three. And here are our answers. So A was the Canon R6. I found the color to be something I was obviously very used to and easy to work with. It also had the best IBIS of the group. It was the easiest to just handheld. That being said, it does have a slight crop that I never really noticed until I started using the other cameras with it. And the biggest bummer is that anything wider than a 50mm, pretty much, you get some pretty heavy color shift style vignetting, which is just, I guess, the sensor and the lens interacting with each other in a way that doesn't really work out very well. So obviously a huge bummer, and just a reason why I haven't used the Canon R6 a lot with my Leica lenses. The FX3 was camera number 2, and it did a really great job of not having those issues. I will say that the color was a little bit more difficult, but it had the most dynamic range by far, and I can definitely move around and play with color, but dynamic range and blown highlights and things like that aren't something that I can fix. So I definitely prefer, I guess, the base look of the FX3 the most. For adapting lenses, at least, it actually had the worst IBIS of the three, but it was still helpful and usable, so I kind of don't really have an issue with it. And then the third one, or C, however you are seeing this, ended up being the Leica SL2-S. It's sort of just like the middle ground between the R6 and the FX3. Had good color, not as good of dynamic range as the FX3, but still good. It obviously took the Leica lenses really well and didn't have any issues with that. And I will say, especially on the corners, it seemed like the Leica SL2-S was the sharpest with the M mount glass, which again isn't surprising. And there are a lot of other things to go in the whole video department there. But I will say that framing everything without a flip screen was definitely a lot more difficult to get a consistent image, the SL2S versus the other two that have a little flip out screen. So overall, as someone who is probably switching from the R6 to something else, let me know your thoughts below on which direction you would go. Personally, I do enough video now that I just want like a dedicated camera that I'm not testing other things with and whatnot. So I'm definitely leaning towards the FX3, both for a cost standpoint and just I love the dynamic range and even the top handle. I'm recording into that right now. There's some good things about it, there's some bad things, all that kind of stuff, but let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe if you aren't already, especially if you're interested in seeing how this 50mm 0.95 performs on the FX3. I feel like there were some pretty interesting shots, and I'm pretty excited to, I guess, check that kind of stuff out. And if you're interested in seeing some other videos that I've talked about adapting lenses, you can check them out here and here, and I will see you on one of those.